to understand as well, and to understand this whole concept of what's happening in Maghrib and Isya. As you know, the Prophet ﷺ determined that the time of Maghrib is when the sun, no, there's no sister, sorry. The time of Maghrib is when the sun sets below the horizon. Okay? So when the full disk of the sun sets under the horizon, that is the time of Maghrib. What the time of Isha, see, the sun has a glare like this red light. It's when that red glare disappears, that is the time of Isha. Okay? Now, what happens? The sun, if this is the horizon, then the sun starts to set like this, and then it moves down, it goes down, and then, eventually then it comes back up again on the other side. So here, as it starts to go down, it reaches a certain level under the horizon. When it reaches that level, that's when the twilight finishes, and that's when the Isha time enters. Okay? Now, if we look at it from a sideways angle, we're using all these pens to do that. We look at it. So this is the Earth. Okay, and we're sort of like sitting here on the Earth. We're here, and we're looking at the sun. Okay, so this is the horizon. Okay. Now, as the sun is dropping down, this is the sun below the horizon. The reason why we have differences between different timetables, some people say, why is there different times? Some people have Isha at a certain time. It's all due to this angle here, this angle. This angle determines by the astronomers, when their calculations, when does that twilight disappear. So that's why you have some people saying that this angle is 15 degrees, others say it's 18, some say it's 18.5, and some I think say 19.5 as well. So this difference in different angles shows why there is a difference in terms of the timings. Okay, and this angles also determines the different times for Fajr as well. Okay, because that angle, because for Fajr to start, the sun has to start appear. This twilight has to start appear. That's when Fajr time. Now, depending on which angle you follow, it doesn't matter which angle they follow, they all reach a consensus that at a certain time during the year, the sun doesn't drop beneath this angle. Okay? That means the sun doesn't drop far enough below the horizon for the twilight to disappear. So the twilight stays in the sky. Okay? Scientifically. You might say, well, I can see that it's totally dark. Yeah, but it's difficult to determine here because due to all the lights and the light pollution. But in terms of astronomical measurements, there comes a time during the summer in England, and obviously the further you go north, the longer this period is, where the sun does not drop below the set amount of degrees. So therefore, from a Sharia perspective, there is no time, there's no defined time for Isha. Okay? Now when you don't have a time for Isha, we have a problem because we want to pray Isha. So when do we pray Isha? So that's when people have come up with different solutions, the fuqaha have come up with different solutions about what to do with the Isha. So the first suggestion, basically it's two suggestions. I mean, there's three, but the third one is not really an acceptable one. I mentioned the third one first. The third one was not to pray Isha. Why? They said why not to pray Isha? They said because there is no signs for Isha, then it's like there's an absent sign, therefore there's an absent condition for praying. And they said it's similar to if someone has his arm cut off, we don't ask him to wash his arm in wudu. We can't ask him to wash his arm if he doesn't have an arm. So they use that as a, but this is like a very weak opinion. All right, so that's why I mentioned it there. So we'll forget about that one. But that's for you to know that. That time there? Okay, so That's one thing. The second one is, the second and the third one determined in two ways. The one opinion is to combine, so we pray Maghrib and Isya together, and the other opinion is to estimate the time for Isya, okay, or to put a proposal for the time. Now, why do people combine, or why is the ulama said combining? They said, well, first of all, because combining is a principle in the Sharia. There are times when you can combine the salah. So it's not something new. It's something which exists in the Sharia. We combine at times of the Prophet combined at times of journey. He combined in times of rain, and also he allowed combining at times of things like illness as well. So there are certain times which, and he combined without a reason, as Ibn Abbas mentioned. In one occasion or two occasions, he combined without rain or journey. And when Ibn Abbas was asked, why did he combine? They said, so that أَرَادَ أَلَّا يُحَرِّجَ أُمَّتَهُ, so he did not make burden on his ummah. To allow them that there are times when the combining can be used to get out of a difficult position. So that's why they said combining is an option which is there in the Sharia. It also means that everybody is there in Maghrib time, they pray together, the congregation is there, and that's it. The other group, they said we estimate, and then based on that they differed about the estimation. So some said we estimate based on the closest city, where the times are all clear. Okay, so that's the closest city. Some said we estimate based on what is an average, we considered an average time between Maghrib and Isya. Some say we use Mecca as a reference because Mecca is al-Qura, it's the mother of all cities, all villages. Some say we divide the night into 7 parts, meaning from Maghrib to sunrise we divide it into 7, and then Isha will be after the first 7 passes, and Fajr will be before the last 7. So, because we're talking about from sunset to sunrise. And so you see these are different opinions about how to estimate the time. Now, some people will say combining is the best option because that's it, it's there, it doesn't, you don't enter into all these. Others will say estimating is the best option because there's a hadith where the Prophet said once about the Dajjal, when the Dajjal will live on, he will be present in, he will come on the earth for 40 days, and he said one of those days will be like a year. So the Sahaba said, is it enough for us that day, which is like a year, is it enough for us to pray the prayers for one day? He said, no, estimate for each prayer its time. Estimate, which shows that basically what happens is when on that day is like the earth slows down basically, so it doesn't start to turn as quickly. So it takes a whole year for the earth to rotate. But you don't pray 5 prayers in that whole year, you estimate the Prophet. So they said, well, that's telling us to estimate when the signs are missed. And also they said that the majority, or maybe there's a consensus amongst the Ummah, that praying each prayer on its time is better than combining the prayers. Even when there is rain, for example, they said combining when there is rain is not the optimum practice. It's still better to pray each prayer on time, if possible. When you are on journey, even though you shorten the prayer, but it's better to pray each prayer on its time, because these how the prayers were revealed. But if you wanted to combine, it's permissible, but it's not optimal. So from that perspective, we have these 2 opinions. Okay. Now,